Alright, we're going to go through how to do Inventor in a standard way, Inventor standard, just to see the differences, how the parameters come in. So we're going to do this. We're beginning a new part. I'm just going to make one part here and then put the holes into the part off of the edges, and then make a gusset plate as a second part, just so you can see the difference is how the parts come in and how the parameters stay with the entity. So in this case, we're not going to make holes upon holes upon holes, blocks within blocks like we would in AutoCAD, because we do lose a little bit of the functionality when we do that. But I would recommend, again, as many of you kind of get going in this, you actually have a problem with that. Okay, so you go here. I'm going to basically draft a rectangle, and that's about it. That rectangle I can now dimension there and there. Draft that rectangle there. Draft that so I've got a rectangle there. In the end, I can now double click on the rectangle on the dimensions here, and I'm going to make this 10 inches. Keyboard again. I'm going to make that 10 inches. I'm going to give it the general length of, I guess, 10 feet, just to keep it somewhat consistent. And you realize that we can change these things once we get going. So I'm typing in 10 inches. I make the shape, do the constraints. I think because I made it a rectangle, it's already kind of constrained. And here that's 10 inches, and this one here is going to be, let's see if it takes feet, 10 feet. And I'm going to go ahead and hit that double click there. And I have now that rectangle. It is 10 inches by 10 feet. I'm going to finish the sketch. Hit F9, F6, I'm sorry. Finish the sketch. Hit F6 and take it out coming backwards, I guess. I'll take it back this way. 1 inch. And hit OK. It is done, and I'm going to take it now to the front and realize I can now apply some holes to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the holes 3 inches from the bottom and 3 inches from the side here. I'm just going to add 2 holes here. I'm going with the hole. I'm going to go with the hole, and this is going to be the key difference. I'm going to go linear. I'm going to go through. I'm going to make it actually through all. And I'm going to make it a 3/4 0.75 millimeter hole. I grab the face, and then I grab a distance, and then I grab another distance, and I'm going to put that as 3 inches. And this one here I'm going to put as 3 inches. In effect, now I can add another hole. Face here. I'm going to add now another hole on the face. I guess I'm going to go through here. I just didn't push it through. I'll go through once again and try that. Hole, through all, 75 millimeter. I'm going to do it linear, face. This is my face. And I can then grab a reference here from there. Second reference from here. Double click. This is 3 inches. This one is 3 inches, and I'm going to hit check, apply, done. I've added a hole there. I can go ahead and add another hole now. Same thing, through all, face. Here's my face. Once again, from here, I'm going to grab from that. This time it's going to be 6 inches, 3 inches on center, and 3 inches. Double click here, make that 6 inches, and make that, make that 6 inches. And make this one here 3 inches. Through all, apply, done. You can do that on however you want to do it. I'll try to do it within the next minute or so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do the same to the other side, taking the dimension from the outside, and then I'm going to go ahead right now and pause this and get that done so we can go into the gusset plate. What you're going to see is we now have parameters that allow us to change things. So I'm going to hit a pause right here and do the same thing on the other side. Alright, I've gone ahead and made this on both sides, and we'll eventually do the same with a couple, but I'm going to now show you the functional difference of that. The functional difference now in that is that these are based on parameters. So if we look at the parameters, we probably have a dimension parameter, we have a 90-degree parameter, we have a width parameter, and then we have a distance, a couple hole distance parameters. And so if we go within here to the manage, and we go to parameters, you will see those here. And so if you look at basically all these parameters having set up as you went through, that you had basically the 10 feet, and if all of a sudden now you're going to change that to 12 feet, done, okay, and hit an update, it's going to update that. And if you want to go back in the parameters here, and if for instance I had all those holes set up to be 0.75 millimeters, I can basically at this point set this one this way, equal D7. This one I can say equal D7. And this one I can say equal D7. Which means when I hit done, that if I go ahead and change D7 right now, go back to my parameters, if I go to D7 and I change D7 to be 0.5, tab through, done, and hit an update, it changes the holes everywhere. Or if I go ahead and change the distance off the side in parameters, for instance this 3 inches, and the 3 inches I think one was the bottom, one was, so if I go ahead and make that 6 inches, right, tab through, say done, and then update someplace, probably because that was the one going off the bottom. Cancel. I'm going to go back here, parameters here. 6, that was probably to be 3. Let's go ahead and just make it 4. And getting track and keep a track of where your parameters is going to be important. Done. Update. And you see that one 4. Because what happened when I did 6, it was up off the bottom. I'm going to come back here, change that 4 back to 3. You get the general drift. 3, tab, done. That you generally have this sense of then you then have to hit update, that you can go ahead and control a lot of things by parameters, to the point here that if I go ahead and want to shorten this up one last time, go ahead and shorten the parameter. I might go ahead and we need to shorten that up by 3 inches on a side, 11.5 feet, done. Okay, update, you see it shorten it up. So that's what you get smartly if you don't do all your whole stuff in AutoCAD. So I would recommend that some of you try to go through and do that at least with one piece in a separate drawing so you get used to the parameters. That's the downside of doing stuff pre in AutoCAD, but you do, if you're quite competent with AutoCAD, you can think out a lot of things and get the first base done and then go through. So how parameters work, we'll show you here. I'm going to pause this one time and bring it then into a Inventor file, and hopefully that will work so we can see what an assembly looks like. Okay, I'm in an assembly now. I'm going to go ahead and bring in that with parameters part twice. Bring it in once. Bring it in twice. Right click, done. Go right here to the front. I'm not sure where that placed it, but right away kind of they're in opposite, they're not necessarily in the same sphere, but this would be a place now if I was going to kind of butt those up would be a good occasion for us to use then the constraint. But I can go ahead and do this constraint here and use that right there and use it the opposed. I'm going to go to grab this hole here coming out the back side, hopefully, and then use as I zoom around here through, I'm going to hit the pause and